Hey everyone, I want to talk about South Africa's vaccine rollout, or the shambles that is South Africa's vaccine rollout. I'm here in Stockholm and I've just received my first dose of the COVID-19 vaccine, and I thought it would be a good idea to give my opinion on why the South African government failed to give people in South Africa a COVID-19 vaccine. So we have to go back to the late 1990s. South Africa was capable of producing its own vaccines, but during this time it stopped doing so. The reasons that I've heard range from it was just too expensive to keep the upkeep of these facilities because vaccines were becoming more complex and difficult to produce, and it was just easier to import them. Apparently, we had more important things to manufacture.
But we want to see more and more of the vehicle manufactured in our country, and it's for that reason that our incentive program is in fact structured in such a way that if you do more to create jobs and you do more to localize, you get more incentive.
So now all of this is great, but when you have a global health emergency and everyone's scrambling to get hold of vaccines, it's a different issue. Now, with this in mind, in 2020, the various vaccine candidates that were out there, the Pfizer vaccine, the AstraZeneca vaccine, the Johnson & Johnson vaccine, and I think the Moderna vaccine, but I'm not 100% sure of that, were being trialed in South Africa. As far as I'm aware, Pfizer even went so far as to trying to engage with the South African government to try and get them to sell them the vaccine. They had no interest. This was in July. It was only in September that the Minister of Health actually announced a committee to look into, procuring vaccines. But by this point, these manufacturers had signed huge bilateral agreements with, the likes of the United States and Israel and whatever to get vaccines. And so the supply that was there was now booked and ordered. There wasn't really any spare for South Africa. Now, South Africa said or alleged that it was because of we prefer to do it for the COVAX facility. If we had done a bilateral agreement with these manufacturers, we would have had to pay up front. There are individuals or experts who believe that that is nonsense, that it's possible to do an advanced procurement deal, and that would have eliminated the need to pay up front, because the South African government would have only had to pay had the vaccine manufacturers developed a working, usable vaccine. So then obviously in 2020, December 2020, once these vaccines were started to be rolled out and people started asking questions, it was only then that the South African government seemed to actually make any inroads, and then it was announced that we were getting a shipment of the AstraZeneca vaccine. The South African government then decided to get rid of it because it was found, based on a very small and not peer-reviewed study, that it was not effective against the beta variant that had just existed in South Africa. But that study only looked at people who were going to, young people and people who were most likely to get mild symptoms. When you're dealing with a pandemic, you're mainly interested in people dying, number one, and also developing serious symptoms that require hospitalization. The study did not look at that, but in any case, South Africa decided to shelve it and then went with the Johnson & Johnson vaccine. And then, all the issues there. And so it ended up that in May, they got some Pfizer vaccines, and some of my family members fortunately got that. But to me, it's just incompetence. The fact of the matter is that the South African government did not take any interest in making sure that they got this vaccine. I think they were naive to think that the US and UK, Boris Johnson and Donald Trump were not exactly known for their philanthropic ventures. Charity is not something you'd normally think about when you think of them. They were always going to, and to be fair, any nation, the leader of any country is going to first and foremost look after the well-being of their citizens and then help out other countries when it is feasible to do so. I don't know where the South African government thought that that other countries were just going to hand them off doses. South Africa is a middle-income country. We're a member of the G20. It is capable of paying, or could pay for these vaccines. We have an airline that's like bankrupt. We have a power utility that can't generate power, and a post office that can't deliver post. And we could spend money on trying to fix those things, but we couldn't spend money on a vaccine. I mean, the mind boggles. So I don't know. To me, the sad thing is that while a lot of European countries and the UK and the US start to open up and open the economy, South Africa is forced to continue with these lockdowns. And to me, it's just reprehensible. I mean, when this whole firestorm happened in December, where people were asking the government when are they getting vaccines, people were like, oh no, the vaccine's not the silver bullet. I mean, it's fucking bullshit. You, as experts and epidemiologists, should know that's actually not true. The only way we're going to get out of this pandemic long term is with vaccines. Masks and social distancing and other measures, non-pharmaceutical measures, will play a role, but they are not going to long-term solve the problem. As you can see now in Taiwan, in Australia, the fact of the matter is that people become complacent. They start to not follow the rules, and then you end up with a situation. And you cannot keep doing this, shutting down, locking down. It's destroying the South African economy, and it's sad. It's solely due to incompetence. And now South Africa has this thing about patents. I mean, the fact is, we don't have the facilities to make the vaccine. So what fucking difference does it make if you get the patent? It's like getting a recipe for a cake, but you don't have the ingredients nor the kitchen in which to make it. So it seems rather hollow. I agree that countries have engaged, like the US and the UK, in hoarding and vaccine nationalism. At least in fairness in the US, Donald Trump signed deals with these vaccine companies that prevented the US government from selling their vaccine stocks to other countries or giving it to them. They've had to do, I know, with Mexico and Canada, basically loan them the vaccines just to make sure they're contractually compliant. You know, this is Donald Trump, the art of the deal. But that's what he did. So, I mean, the US has about 300 million doses of the AstraZeneca vaccine, which they look, by all intents and purposes, have no intention of approving. Give it to other countries. There's a lot of excess Johnson & Johnson doses in the US. They should give that to South Africa. Even if South African government pays for it, it can do that. So I agree. The problem is what you have now is you've got the likes of China and Russia who are going out and donating all their vaccine doses for reasons which I don't think are always fairly genuine. They're doing it to say, look, you know, this is, you know, the West is hoarding all these vaccines in here. We are giving it to you, and they're using this to show their superiority in terms of their authoritarian and technocratic governments. It's really important and a moral imperative for Western countries to understand that so long as this virus is circulating, it poses a risk to people in your country. You know, COVID is racking up a lot of frequent flyer miles, and it's going global, and a variant that was in one country that one day will be in a country the other day. You can see that with the Delta variant. It was in India, now it's in the UK, and they've had to set their opening dates back, and it's the same in the US. Is starting to affect the US as well, and even Europe. So there really needs to be understanding that there is a common cause. All countries need to work together to help remove barriers to ensuring that these vaccines can be manufactured. Governments need to help these companies manufacture these vaccines. And things like the Defense Production Act, which the US has invoked, it's preventing the likes of the Serum Institute from India to manufacture the Novavax vaccine because they can't get the raw materials, and those you can only really source in the United States. It's wrong. They need to stop doing this. We need to allow this so that we can fix this. Nobody is safe until everybody's safe. That's it. So in spite of the total and utter incompetence of the South African government, I don't think, South Africans or anyone else in some other country should be less fortunate because of their own government's misgivings. So that's all I really wanted to say. So thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you next time. So bye-bye.